Hey, BubbaTac here, also known as OkieTools, and this is going to be my video talking about the launch of my first AR-15 build. And I'm going to be referring to this in the sequence of acronyms for my personal collection that I've come up with as Charlie Papa 2 or Carbine Project 2. This also may have another designation down the road, such as light carbine project, or budget gun, or even truck gun, or something along those lines. I really don't know what it's going to be yet. It's just however it shakes out as far as the parts I can get and the price I'm willing to spend on stuff. So stay tuned for a series of videos along those lines of me doing this build. This isn't really probably going to be a how-to type tutorial type video. There's plenty of those out there if you're interested in that. This is going to be more like my setup as I go along and some of the things I like to use going along with my first build. You can also look at it as a video about, if you're thinking about your first build. Hell, I don't know hardly anything about them. I'm just going off of tutorials online and on YouTube and stuff like that as far as putting them together. I know a little bit about them from the years I've been working on them, but you're probably like me. This maybe will hopefully give you a little bit of a boost towards doing a project your own. Nowadays with the cost of everything and the prices being as low as they are, such as $40 for this lower right here from Anderson Manufacturing. I mean, you can't beat it. You want another AR? Build yourself an AR. And for me, it's going to be a long drawn out process. I'm just going to get a piece a month and just start putting them together. The bigger things I'll probably buy when I have the money and the funds available, but it's basically going to be like piece a month. My first month I bought the lower. The second month I bought the LPK. This next month I'm going to be buying the setup for the buffer tube and the buffer and stuff like that. I'll have a video on that, my ideas on that. But and how I felt about what I bought and why I bought what I bought. So it's going to be a drawn out process, but it's going to be in the end a really cool process that I put them together like that. I built them one piece at a time, and I got good deals because that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for good deals. Might not necessarily be a budget gun, but I'm looking for good deals as I go along. And you can't beat $40 on a fairly well made, albeit affordable lower. First video is just going to be a real quick one talking about that and talking about my thoughts on this particular lower. So I had been looking at Anderson Manufacturing lowers and parts and so on for quite a while, probably for at least the past 2 years, and had pretty much set on them as being my lower that I want to get. I had watched some videos on YouTube comparing the different manufacturers and who actually machines these things, and it was very interesting to me about the comparisons, and if I can remember who that guy is and can put in annotation his video, I really do think you should go check it out. Sorry, bud, that I can't remember your name of your channel. But the comparisons between really expensive lowers and really inexpensive lowers, and how if you're just going for mil spec, why spend all that extra money? And I was like, of course, makes perfect sense to me. So I didn't feel so guilty about going cheap on my lower. So this is a mil spec lower, and just my first thoughts about it is the finish on it's pretty good. It's got some parts right there that I think I can just clean out. I'm not going to say it came dirty, but it kind of just came, from storage at, a big warehouse. Those things come out, they come in plastic bags like this, and they don't always, they aren't hermetically sealed or anything like that. And my particular one came from AIM Surplus. You don't know about them, check them out. They got lots of great prices. A lot of their stuff ships for free. stuff that's really inexpensive like this doesn't, but a lot of their stuff does ship for free. So you can get two different types of Anderson lowers in the multi-cal. You can get one that actually has a trigger guard already, and I think it's basically the same price. So if you're fine with not being able to change out your trigger guard, and you're looking to save a little bit of money by not having to actually buy a trigger guard, then, you know, more power to you. Go ahead and get that one. I actually like the idea of being able to swap mine out with a different, with another different type, possibly in the future. One came with my LPK, but possibly a different one in the future, maybe a Magpul or something like that. So I just went with the open. So it's denoted as safe and fire on only one side, and only has the stops on one side. So if you do an ambidextrous safety, you need to understand that. It's probably not a big deal to still work with it, just saying the stops are on one side and the actual indicators for safe and fire are only on one side. Mine had this little divot right there where the bolt catch goes, but it's going to be actually covered up by the bolt catch, so it's not that real big a deal. You know, I wouldn't necessarily call it an imperfection or anything like that. It's been finished over. It's not like something that happened. It's probably something that happened at the factory, not something that happened, you know, in shipping or anything like that. And I would have, you know, barely not even noticed it unless I was really looking for this thing. Other things are down here where the trigger well is. Feels, I don't know. Looking at it now, it doesn't look that bad to me. But, you know, when I first got it, I looked at it and I thought, well, there is something right there at the front of it. I'm sorry, you're not even in there. Don't know if you can see it. There's just a little something, but it's not really that big a deal. A standard mil-spec trigger will work just fine in it. Magwell is great. The front pin location looks good. The rear looks good. All the machining looks good. All of the threads look good. And the overall finish on it looks good. There's your keyhole for your the actual manufacturer of this, the actual machiner, caster and machiner of this, or forger and machiner of this. So nice to see that. I actually have a couple other lowers that were forged and machined by the same people. So with that little keyhole right there, upper, I believe. Anyways, where your pistol grip looks good, the threads look good. I mean, it looks good. It does. For $40, it looks damn good. Very surprised. In fact, if I was to get super picky, those would be the only two locations I had an issue with. And since I'm not super picky, if I was, I wouldn't have bought this. I am perfectly fine with that. So if you're in the market for an affordable lower, I would give Anderson Manufacturing a try. And a lot of guys are using them as an affordable lower to do really expensive builds. I mean, we're talking guys that are dropping hundreds and hundreds of dollars just on barrels, and hundreds and hundreds, you know, like $200, $300, $400 rails, and putting them onto guns that have lowers like this, and they're running great and they look great. So I do, just from my experience with this particular one, first experience with it, I think it's good. I think it looks good. All the holes seem nice and centered and all the way through, and unless I find out something while I'm putting the LPK in, lower parts kit, shouldn't be a big deal. So this is my first video in the series for my Charlie Papa 2 Carbine Project 2 rifle, going over my new Anderson Manufacturing lower that I chose to start the project. Stay tuned for the other videos. Thanks for watching.